Hello and welcome to another one of our video snapshot interviews. My name is Ashley Hernandez, Research and Product Manager at Build Healthy Places Network. So Build Healthy Places Network is a national center fostering cross-sector collaboration across healthcare, public health, and community development to accelerate community center investments in health and racial equity. So for this interview, we are focusing our attention on multi-sector partnerships involving community development, healthcare, and health payers in California that are co-investing in projects that support people experiencing homelessness. And I'm excited to introduce our guest today. So Anira Giarrusso-Khlok, Project Manager of Community and Homelessness Health at CommonSpirit Health, and Scott Thurmond, Principal Consultant at Thurmond Consulting, LLC. So both CommonSpirit Health and Thurmond Consulting are involved in East Beamer Neighborhood Campus, a development located in Woodland, California, that co-locates a shelter with 100 beds and 60 permanent supportive housing units with critical services such as case management and substance use treatment, all on a single campus. So the campus will also include shared green space, a garden, and a community and health center. Welcome, Anira and Scott. So Scott, let's go ahead and get started with you. Could you briefly discuss your role in East Beamer campus and introduce us to the project? We would love to hear why this campus is an innovative approach to tackling homelessness in California that really requires collaboration from multiple community partners and sectors.
Yeah, so I function along with my firm. We function as the contracted executive director. That's our role with Friends of the Mission, who's the nonprofit that actually is going to be, or is currently the owner of the campus and the operator, along with several other partners of the East Beamer campus. And so we started this project back in 2018 with several different partners.
Great. And can you tell us a little bit more about those partners and their roles?
Yeah, so this really began as a partnership between Friends of the Mission, the City of Woodland, Fourth and Hope, and there were a few other entities involved here and there, the County of Yolo as well, and began back in 2018 with just a concept.
Mm.
And that concept was really about finding a location to have a centralized campus. And the idea was that if we have some type of centralized location for long-term sustainability purposes, having one location would be a good thing, and also for services and being able to serve people experiencing homelessness at one location. We just thought we saw that as ideal. And just some of the additional history, we started conceptualizing a location that was more centralized within the city limits of Woodland. Right now we're out, and actually it's owned by the City of Woodland, and it's in the county part of the City of Woodland, is where the East Beamer campus is located. And and so we chose that location over a location that was more centralized because one, we have more space at this location, this East Beamer campus location. And two, we really, to be honest with you, we were dealing with some NIMBY issues in the beginning. And we just thought to ourselves, well, we really don't need to have that fight in this circumstance. There are circumstances where you need to give that pushback, but not in this one. We had a location where the City of Woodland was willing to donate land and plenty of space to be creative at this location as far as the program components. And so we chose this location at 102 in East Beamer in Woodland. Again, it's in the county technically, but owned by the City of Woodland.
Great. Yeah. So it sounds like having multiple partners and this multi-sector approach is really instrumental to this project.
Yeah, it really has been. And just the different parties coming to the table with different ideas, and specifically within this, Dignity Health, as a partner, and I'll share about that in a little bit, but they were just really a key initial partner that really put, gas in the engine, if you will, of the project. So we're really grateful for their partnership.
Great. And so, Anira, one of those partners was CommonSpirit Health. So can you tell us a little bit about the health system's involvement and what were the primary motivators for the healthcare system to really engage in this project?
Definitely. Thanks, Ashley, and thank you, Scott, for the shout out there. So just I want to take a step back and share a bit about the mission of CommonSpirit Health. For those who may not be familiar, as CommonSpirit Health, we make the healing presence of God known in our world by improving the health of the people that we serve, especially those who are vulnerable, while we advance social justice for all. And so I think the nature of the population that we are serving through this project falls within that vulnerable category. And so it is in our mission to serve these individuals. More specifically, and Scott mentioned Dignity Health. So Dignity Health is kind of our organization name in the California market. And within this market, we have created a homeless health initiative, which is a strategy that's focused on creating a system-wide kind of way to address the need to co-locate, coordinate, integrate health, behavioral health, safety, and wellness services with housing and other social services. And that includes kind of these types of housing development projects. As a health system, we recognize that we need to serve folks outside of the four walls of our health system. And so our community health arm does a really great work of partnering and collaborating with community-based organizations to really understand, hey, what are the needs in your community? What are the gaps that we need to fill to make sure that we have a strong continuum of care for folks once they're discharging from the hospital. So that's our primary motivator, we're only as healthy as the community that is nearby our hospitals is, and so we really want to invest back into the communities.
Great. So, Scott, one of the things that I really appreciate about this project is both the design of the units and the campus itself are supposed to foster a sense of place. So can you share with us how you incorporated this into both the design and why creating a sense of belonging is so important?
Yeah, so in general, when you typically hear of a housing project for people experiencing homelessness, it's usually multifamily and it's usually multiple stories, and so that's the typical setup that you'll see, and that probably is the most cost-effective approach in most circumstances. But we in this situation, we wanted to give individual units or have individual units for each of the tenants. And we endeavored to find a cost-effective way of making that happen. And we went down the route of conceptualizing modular units. And what we were excited about conceptually with this project is that we could see that we were going to be able to keep the cost below $300,000 per unit. And if you know anything about housing in California, you'll see wide range. Usually it's a minimum of $600,000 per unit. We've heard projects already up to $1.2 million per unit. And so we wanted to give folks individual units so they have that space, but they're not so far apart that they don't have a sense of community. And so we wanted to build that within the overall concept. Within that, just last week, we were able to complete the community center portion of the project. And so that creates that centralized location where folks are going to have activities and hang out and what have you. So in this circumstance, just as an FYI, we approached it in a way with the funding source that we had from the state. There was a deadline that we had to meet, so we decided to build the units, get everyone in the units, and then build the community center after that point. So that was required within the home key funding source from the state of California. So that sense of community is going to be extremely important long term. You have individuals that need that sense of kind of interaction and sense of family, if you will. Most of the individuals that are going to be housed at East Beamer over the long term are going to have some type of mental health diagnosis, and so that sense of community is going to be really important. But they will also have that option of giving themselves space and hanging out in their unit and having that alone time. So we're really happy about that overall concept that we've been able to create that at the East Beamer campus.
Yeah, so it sounds like creating this sense of community and belonging can be a really important piece of a larger strategy on addressing homelessness long term.
Yeah, we think so. And we think that, and our hope is that individuals, the tenants that are currently there, that they're able to be there long term. And we've had some transition in the first year and a half of operations, but we're happy to say that over 70% of the original tenants are still there. And so we have a good core that we're operating off of. And we anticipate on an annual basis that we'll have some transition, but we really want to have that sense of community, that folks feel like this is a place that they belong, and it's their location. They don't have to worry about neighbors. The neighbors around us are not going to, cause any issues for us. And also there's times where individuals have things that they have to work through. And so we want to be able to, we're excited about this campus setup, that we have that room and space to work through those issues.
Wonderful. So what are some of the innovations of this partnerships that others might consider replicating in their communities to address homelessness? And so, Anira, let's go ahead and get started with you.
Yeah. So I think, there are a lot of innovations about this project, but I think how folks can kind of scale and replicate it is bringing multiple folks to the table. As Scott mentioned, there are a lot of players who are part of the Friends of the Mission kind of group. And, he mentioned the city providing the land, right, Scott? And so I think, going to your local government, saying, hey, what resources do you have available? And really kind of leaning on them to see what they can offer, so that you can leverage those available resources and assets, and then also get the buy-in from them too, right? And then another thing, I think, is the co-location piece. So bringing services in is really important. And I think meeting our patients, our clients, our guests where they are is really the key to kind of enabling an environment of success for them, because then they don't have to go and leave the campus. I know one of the conversations that we had during the conceptualization phase or during the working group phases was, how can we bring a mobile clinic on site, and thinking about like if they need a plug-in, and where do we need to place that so that it's optimal for our partner organizations who are going to come on site. And so lots of small little details like that are really important, but I think making it a collective model where everyone is a player and a participant and has ownership to serve the community is really important. And then I think also, as Scott mentioned, like not having to deal with neighbors is kind of a good thing too, because then it's a protected space for a lot of the residents, and it's trauma informed. And I think that's also very key to these types of programs and them being successful.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely believe in that collective model to address the social determinants of health.
Yeah.
And Scott, anything else you would like to share?
Yeah, so just to kind of provide some overall clarity to what our different projects out at East Beamer are, the different components. We have the 100-bed shelter, and again, that was built in 2020, and then the PSH units were completed in 2022. And the 60-bed treatment program, that is in progress. So that'll be completed in this year, actually, later this year. That'll be completed 2024. And then we're planning an expansion of the shelter which will include a permanent shower, bathroom, and laundry area, along with a commercial kitchen, and also 10 units of non-congregate shelter units. And these units, these 10 units are going to be utilized in a variety of different ways. They can be used for medical respite, but they can also be used in circumstances where you have resident A in the shelter that has COVID. We're going to be able to isolate them and still provide them services. So we're looking forward to those 10 additional units over and above the 100 that we currently have, the 100 beds that we currently have.
Great. And any sort of lessons learned from this project that you think would be useful to others who want to replicate something similar in their community?
Well, you have to have patience, and you have to have, believe it or not, the right people on the team that have that patience and creativity. Development projects like this, I always like to say, are like sausage making. They're going to have their victories, and then they're going to have their challenging circumstances. And you need individuals that are ready to go with the flow on that. But first and foremost, I would say a couple of things. You need the land. And really conceptually, you have to start with that one component, the land. And then if you have key partners to provide some of that initial seed money, like we received from Dignity Health, that's just really key. And so those two components together, you can begin to conceptualize an overall location. And we're right now, overall, once we're complete with the project, it's going to be over 40 million. So you'll have to raise some funds, but if you start with those components, you'll be able to kind of move down that path.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely speaks to the importance of multi-sector partnerships, right? Because you got the land from the city, and then CommonSpirit Dignity Health was really instrumental to providing that seed funding to get the project started.
Exactly. And then you bring on partners like Yolo County, that's providing us almost 800,000 in case management funding. You have Fourth and Hope, Hope Cooperative, and also Yolo County Housing is providing us vouchers, project-based vouchers for 25 of the units. And that's really key to have those components in place as well for long-term sustainability. And I'll say this last part, this project, the funding from the state, from the Home Key program, which is one of the better programs out there that I've seen from the state to address homelessness, comes with a 55-year regulatory agreement. And so we've got to answer to the state for the next 55 years. And so we need a sustainable model to make sure that happens.
Well, thank you so much, Scott and Anira, for joining us today. We are thrilled to share your inspirational story with our audience, and I hope folks will join us again for our next video snapshot. Thank you.
Thanks for having us,
you.
Ashley.
Yes, thank you.